first year in business, we hit 320,000 in sales of just sticker sales. I realized like the amount of money that was coming in from just that idea alone. And I was like, we just got to keep going. The first one was just a basic blue cooler that we sold. It was called the Stumbler. We sold 1,000 of them like the first day. We are, as we grow, trying to be a little bit more for, I wouldn't say everybody, but just a little bit more a step back and being like, okay, you know, the dad who's stressed out all week and then Friday comes and he wants to have a beer and get shitty with his friends, like that's fine too. Or you have the guy who's in college who Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday come and he's boozing every day of the week. Like it's for him too. So really a lifestyle brand is what we've built.
You're spending real money to drive traffic to your site, but the truth is 98% of that traffic leaves without ever giving you an email. Meta knows who they are, but you don't unless you use Instant. Instant helps brands identify anonymous visitors so you can send more abandonment emails, build stronger retargeting audiences, and actually recover that lost revenue. Brands like Fate the Label saw a 4.5x boost in their abandonment flows. Masco increased Shopify revenue by over 15%. Third Love, Toys R Us, and the Oodie, these are all massive stores that use Instant to see an average ROI lift of 11.2x. They'll even guarantee you a 4x ROI or your money back. It only takes 15 minutes to set up and you'll start seeing results fast. If you're serious about getting more out of the traffic you're already paying for, now's the time to fix it. Get 50% off your first month at instant.one/DTC. That's instant.one/DTC. Trevor, welcome to the DTC Podcast. Big fan of your brand, Shiti Coolers, pretty cool. Tell me the story that led you to create the ultimate party cooler company.
Yeah, so that wasn't intended to start. So let's get that straight. At the beginning, it was, I went to a country music festival in Michigan. They no longer have it this year, but it was called Faster Horses Music Festival. And I went there by myself, brought my old cooler, brought just a shit backpack cooler, not a shitty backpack cooler, just a regular backpack cooler, brought that into the festival. And when I went there, I realized that everybody that was there, a lot of people there had, you know, a Yeti cooler or a Yeti koozie or Yeti products, and they were treating it like it was like gold, right? It was, oh, you had to bring it in your tent when you were going to sleep. You had to put it in your truck at night when you were going to bed, or like they were just holding all these things real tight, and I didn't give a shit about what I had there, right? So that when I went to that festival, it kind of opened my eyes to like this festival culture that goes on, but also the cooler culture and how these people were connecting to their cooler, right? That I had never seen before. I had never cared what type of cooler I had. Ironically, when I got home, my brother, who's 3 years younger than I am, bought a Yeti cooler. So when he bought it, I just immediately started making fun of it. I'm like, you know, why do you need that thing? Like whatever else. And when he wasn't looking, I pretty much wrote Shitty on a napkin and I taped it to this old cooler that was sitting on like our kitchen table. And I just made a quick Snapchat of it and just made a joke, sent it to like my few followers I had like on my personal account. And a few people were laughing, whatever. So the idea just kind of stopped there. And that was really like the start of it there. Was that. And then from there, we were like, well, let's just sell stickers that go on an old cooler and relabel everybody's cooler that they already have as a Shitty cooler. So essentially that's how it started. And that's what we started our first year in business. We hit about 320,000 in sales of just sticker sales that first year. And I was a teacher at the time, and I'm like, I realized like the amount of money that was coming in from just that idea alone. And I was like, we just got to keep going. So
just based on that idea of like lampooning a little bit, like taking this cultural moment where Yeti had become this like status symbol, people are spending 3 times as much as they've ever spent on those kinds of products. And sort of your play is like recognizing that there was a bubble there and you're popping the bubble with a bit of a joke, and it just resonated with people.
Right.
Super cool. When did you decide to start actually producing coolers?
So that wasn't till about 2019. I think it was around 2018, 2019. And that was because, I mean, when we were selling stickers, the most searched term on our website was coolers, right? It's like well, where's the cooler? You know, everybody's initial reaction, well, where's the coolers? But like that wasn't the point of it. But we quickly realized, like, all right, we need to try a cooler. Like, what, you know, how is that going to look, right? Because from the beginning, it was, we're built for the broke. We're squirrel resistant, not bear resistant, right? We're making all these like funny puns. We're wildly weak. Our coolers keep beer warm. Like, who cares about the Yeti cooler? So the branding was all around that. So as we've grown and as we wanted to come out with our first cooler, that's something we had in mind was like, you know, our first cooler cost $30, you know, and now on our site, our cooler goes up to $150. So that just shows you the journey we've kind of had to go on to like restructure the brand messaging and the voice of like who we really are. But the fact is that there's never been a party cooler company. Like, people use coolers to party with, but there's never been a party cooler company. And we knew that very early on, even with doing the stickers. We were like, just if we can push this and this is working, no one started a party cooler company. And like, if there is one, like, we're definitely it. Like, the name is it. Like, it is it. And that's what we've pretty much strived to become, is the ultimate party cooler company. And it's worked.
Talk about your Mark One. What went into creating the first party cooler?
Yeah, the first one was, we went to we went to a festival, and like, I feel like ideas come really well when you kind of get out from behind the computer and actually fucking like live your life, right, and do things. But we went to another, I think it was a NASCAR event, and we noticed these people from Canada walking around with these backpacks they were sold with beer. I don't know if you remember them, but they were sold with a case of Bud Light, or they were sold with a Corona, and they just had the branding of the booze company on the outside of it, right? And we seen some at the track, and we're like, wow, I've never seen a cooler with that type of printing. So that's what we kind of based it on was, all right, let's get something in that we can put some crazy graphics on and just try to sell it. And the first one was just a basic blue cooler that we sold. It was called the Stumbler, and it was, again, $29, and we sold 1,000 of them like the first day. And that's when we knew, like, all right, like, the stickers work. That was a thing, but there's a whole nother side of this that we haven't tapped into.
Was that name a play on Tumblr?
100%, yeah.
100%. That's amazing, because it's not drinkware. It's this other kind of product that I guess Yeti does as well. Yeti does do those kind of cooler backpacks as well.
Yeah, but ours are just that designed to essentially make drinking easy. That's like where we're at now, and I'm sure you'll have some questions now about like where we are currently. But yeah, they're all based around making drinking easy and just making your life just easier when you're partying.
Any key learnings or mistakes that came out of that first production run?
Yeah, that even though our name was shitty, that the products can't be shitty.
No.
Because then it just makes the pun that much better for the customer, and they just will jump all over that, right? Like, oh, it's shitty, never buying it again. So we quickly realized, like, however, there are customers that don't care. Like, that's what's wild, is that with our name and who we target, like, there's customers that don't give a shit. Like, what they use, they're that anti kind of expensive type of person, right? But yeah, the learnings, like, we quickly realized, like, all right, like, if you want to have a drink out of your cooler, you don't want the ice leaking all over the place. You want the zippers to work if the cooler falls over. The straps are breaking off. The liner is getting moldy when people, after they're done using it, right? Just, I mean, the metal pieces on the cooler that we had were rusting. So it was just like continuously going like, all right, like it was product update after product update, year over year, to get it to where we're at like right now, which I feel like right now our products are the closest to the final version that you could have it at. Although we stress on innovation and keep kind of striving to make the product better for the customer. But yeah, the learnings were, I feel like we had to go through that to land on where we're at now in a way, instead of just jumping all the way right to like the most expensive, quality cooler and slapping it on and calling it shitty. We just had to go through that journey, I feel like, to really dial it in.
And the whole way you kept the brand tone around humor, around poking fun. Has that been a tough balance to balance the sort of like tongue-in-cheek humor with this like continually improving product line?
I don't think the humor is an issue with us because like it's fun doing this with my brothers and like even our partners now we all have similar personalities. We all like to have fun. And those ideas come when we are having fun and like we're using the product and things, right? So I don't think the humor has been difficult. It's actually, I think it plays to our advantage a little bit. It's a little, some of our stuff's a little polarizing where it's like you either really like it or you're really like, like I'm okay. I don't need a shitty cooler, whatever. But we are, as we grow, trying to be a little bit more for, I wouldn't say everybody, but just a little bit more a step back and being like, okay, the dad who's stressed out all week and then Friday comes and he wants to have a beer and get shitty with his friends, like that's fine too. Or you have the guy who's in college who, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday come and he's boozing every day of the week. Like it's for him too. So it's essentially like a really, really a lifestyle brand is what we've really built.
When it comes to your pricing at this point, are you still like it's a premium product, but you're less expensive than Yeti's premium product, I imagine?
Right. Yeah, we're about half the price of Yeti, but still above some of the other competitors when it comes to the coolers, just because they are better quality. Like they're better quality than some of the ones you'll find on Amazon, Walmart, wherever. Like they're crazy looking and they're called shitty, but they're also very, very good quality.
I think we did a podcast recently with Motion, the creative platform, and they mentioned in their big study of creatives how important humor is to branding. And I think it's something that a lot of people overlook. It's kind of hard to be funny unless it's like really built maybe into your brand identity. But when it comes to the growth and, the ads that you run, I imagine humor has been a bit of a secret weapon to like help instill that brand quick. Because if you can make someone laugh, you're connecting with them on a level that an ad normally doesn't.
100% nail it right on. It's almost like we balance between being like a badass type of brand and like, oh, that's like aspirational, right? And then there's, like you're saying, the side of humor. And there's times like throughout the journey that you almost lose the humor a little bit and you're like become a little bit too serious and you're like, wait a minute, we got to swing this back the other way. Like we're losing the whole intention of the humor base of it. So it's funny you bring that up because it's a constant battle, like with how we market, to be like, no, let's make it funny and be a little less like serious. Like I know we want the ice retention to do this and we want this to, everything's got to add up right. But at the end of the day, we have a good product. And like you're saying, we just need to make people laugh and trigger that emotion to get them to pull the trigger and buy.
And what's cool is you've probably mostly evolved out of the poking fun at Yeti situation, right? You're really your own brand at this point. You're not really leaning on that like lampooning Yeti at this point.
100%. Yeah, I think the only similarities are both brands N and an I at this point. And that's really it. Like, other than that, we're hitting maybe some people have a Yeti that they use on the boat or they're whatever they're doing that they need that type of cooler for, but they're also having the good time and needing a cooler that makes just drinking easy, right? Our coolers aren't bulky. They're not huge. They're not heavy. They're designed to be lightweight. They're designed to work. So it's almost like the Yeti fan or any other cooler company fan, like would also need our product too.
What are your thoughts on eventually going into actual drinkware?
I love it. Yeah, that's a huge thing for us because I know Yetis, I believe when they early on, it's like their drinkware jumped from like to 60% of their overall revenue at one point. And like right now, I mean, they're doing what, $1.5 billion a year in revenue. When it comes to drinkware, I'm like 100% like we need to get that dialed in. It's been on the back burner for us, but now it's definitely one of those things that we're continually wanting to develop. But it's also, we want to like be innovative enough to do something just a slightly different, and not put our label on there and just kind of sell it. That's the easy thing to do. But I'm like, all right, what's the next level to that? How do we make our cups like the best drinking cup that someone wants?
And party drinkware, keeping that party vibe as well. Like it's just so much of a bigger market. Ideally, like people use party coolers like during these amazing times in the summer, and there's probably like several times a year they're using it. But drinkware they have on their desk every single day.
100%. Yeah, like
right?
coffee, anything, right?
Anything.
Yep.
I travel with mine. Cool. That's awesome. I think it's smart to not just have thrown yourself into it, right? Like there are so many. That's the thing about Yeti, right? Like you can get something that's a tenth of the cost on Amazon that essentially keeps your drink probably just as cold, and so you don't want to just be a Me Too brand with it, I guess, right?
Right. Which we can in ways like you could, we can make a stainless steel cup, engrave our
Yeah.
logo on it and run with it. And that's cool. But yeah, it's that next level kind of thinking and going, all right, like what do we want a shitty cup to look like? Yeah, now, like our coolers, we've specifically designed like attachments to go, to hold our cups. That's like one thing where it could slip right in the side. It's almost like a cup holder.
Nice.
So we kind of like work the products in there where they always have something to do with the backpack or a cooler.
One of the main themes that brands on this podcast are always talking about is community. And I think, again, because you've got humor, because people are using your product at such a happy time, happy moments in their lives, probably that ability to connect with them and build a community has been really valuable for you. What would you say has been your most successful move when it comes to building that community?
The community, at first, it was all about gaining followers. Like, how many followers can we get in this community where they don't care what they use? If they don't have a Yeti, they have a Shitty. Like, how big can we get it? And that Instagram grew quite a bit. That was like my sole focus in the beginning. Like, it wasn't even sales. It was how do we get this Instagram up to 25,000 followers? So that was the initial community. But now it's, email marketing, our text community, our text list is pretty big. We have our Facebook group that's got like over 5,000 people in the group that are, posting about Shitty Coolers, showing them photos of them using the product. So the communities came a long way, and it's obviously still something that you can just continue to build and build on as we keep going.
When it comes to growth channels, what's been your most successful play when it comes to the growth of the brand? Is it Meta?
Yeah, Meta ads are getting expensive. In the beginning, it definitely, obviously, we all know social ads are like the pure driver of what you're doing. And it used to be cheaper. Now it's more expensive. So with that, our pricing being higher has helped us being able to push the Meta ads more and keep the brand, alive. But one thing that just is hand over fist money for us is just going to the events that people are at where they're using the cooler at when they're already having the great time. Like it's a recipe for, a good time for us because like we're having fun with our customers, but also just sales. Like it's somewhere where it's an easy buy. Like we just got back we sponsored Kid Rock's tour and Leonard Skinner, and we just went this past weekend to the event and we sold. And it amazed me that one, it was the event that we charged the most for our coolers at, and then two, it was just the most inventory we've ever brought. Like it was just, we brought like so much inventory. So this was like a pretty good test, but it was wild that like people just knew what they wanted. Like, and it was so fast and so much revenue happened within like a 2-day span that it's just like when you meet those people where your people are at, like physically, I don't think you can go wrong, especially within our brand.
That's super cool. And so you basically set up a store on the festival grounds there. What goes into creating is it literally just like a merch booth essentially, or does it's, with the amount of inventory you brought, it sounds like it might be a little bit bigger. What goes into creating a great presence at a festival?
Yeah, it's just our logo. We want to make sure like our logo is on a black background, right? So like seeing this we don't have the triangle behind it. This is our older logo, but yeah, seeing it from a distance, right? Having flags up in the air. We're going to put like some flags up so that people can see where we're at. But it's also promoting like before we even get there, right? Like we have lead gen campaigns going to win tickets and whatnot to these festivals that are going on. So like that type of awareness along with the setup of like it was a 16 by 7 foot trailer also with a 10 by 10 tent this was great, but we set up 2 tables in the 10 by 10 that we just had cups and beer pong, and
Smart.
it just stayed busy all day, right? So it almost looked like we had a party going on, and all we really did was roll out some cups and beer pong balls, and and then they could buy kind of like in the other side. So it's just kind of creating the noise yourself, and then and then hopefully get in the sale.
Have you done much with partnerships? Like I would think I know that would be hard, but like a Kid Rock cooler or something would be insane at a conference like that. What have you done with partnerships?
Yeah, so we haven't done anything with Kid Rock specifically. Like it's kind of interesting because the tour is like almost separate from the artists. Like it's almost like there's like a separation there. So we haven't done anything with him. We did get him a cooler though. So yeah, if he messages back, that'd be awesome to work with him. But yeah, as of now, we've done a few partnerships and collab. We've done a partnership with Realtree, like the camo backpack. We've done we're doing one, or we've done one with Ryan Newman. So he runs the Smart Car Series. Used to be a NASCAR driver. So we've done with him. We're currently doing a fishing team down in Florida and the Bahamas. They fish, so we're kind of getting into that area. And then one that's coming out soon, within the next 2 months, is a collab with Bill Murray in like Caddyshack.
What? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for golf. So like that's our way to get into like the golf community, which it was like I don't even know any better way you could kind of get into golf than Caddyshack, and with a collab with the William Murray Bros. But those are what we got going on now.
That's super cool. I think of I'm friends with Brock from Frost Buddy. He does so much with licensing. I know he's going crazy on like the NCAA this year for the Final Four, but I think that's another huge opportunity for you guys is like straight up sports team licensing on these products, because people will go nuts for that.
100%. That's funny. I've followed Brock for a while now. That's cool that you have connections with him. I've loved the type of stuff that he's putting out. It's great.
I'll send it in. He's great. I'll send an intro after this just because you guys should connect for sure.
Yeah, let's do it. That's awesome.
I think he's he's from Indiana, but I think he lives down in Miami. But we're at this really interesting point. The newsletter and the podcast right now, we're super focused on like surveying our audience and figuring out what people are doing, how people are reacting to tariffs, how people are affected by this sort of trade war situation we find ourselves in. What's on your mind, April 9th, 2025, about the current trade climate?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that one, you just got to be able to have those other levers, right? There's stuff that's just not in your control. Like I could like watch the news all day long and it's not going to change anything. So it's like it's thinking of like the levers you have and the relationship you've built like over the years and going, all right, like what are ways I could get this made somewhere else? What are our relationship with our manufacturer right now in China? How can we reduce our costs down? And yeah, it's kind of going to be a tough thing. And then like we're lucky that our products we have a pretty good margin on them already. But yeah, I'm not against like you got to do what you got to do with price increasing to protect your brand and like continue to grow and be a thing, right? I mean, something like that could just throw some companies just right into the dirt and they won't be able to recover from it. So yeah, it's definitely on my mind. Definitely trying to think of alternatives. And I think I have the faith that it'll iron itself out in some way. But also just keeping those contacts that we have close. Like we've met some pretty good contacts that have worked for some other companies that have been through some things too that we think we can leverage.
And I think you're right. You have to figure out what moves you can make, but without being too drastic, because it really is like a shock and awe kind of moment, especially with China, where it doesn't feel like something that's going to be an ongoing state of things. It's going to have fallout no matter what, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be as catastrophic. It's not a sky is falling moment, and I think keeping your cool,
right,
figuratively and literally makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
you guys are well positioned,
right? Like running a business, I feel like it's inevitable that something's going to get thrown at you, right?
You said you started the business with your brothers. Talk to me a little bit about your sort of founding team and what that's like.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like I couldn't wish for anything different, honestly. Like growing up, like I was a teacher. My two brothers, during Shiti, I was building Shiti as a teacher out of the 9 years it's been going. I did it as a teacher for like 5 or 6 of those years. So I have to give credit where credit's due. My brothers jumped in early on and kind of held like the day-to-day operations like solid. And I was the one like kind of afternoons running Facebook ads, doing marketing, email, and doing that. But I think overall it's a tremendous benefit to work with my brothers and have them, have them in the business, and also going, like I said, going to have fun and thinking of ideas, and that, like, I'm beyond grateful for the position I'm in and working with them.
And what's
for
the
sure.
division of labor like? What's your focus versus your other co-founders?
Yep. So my focus is mainly like, overseeing a lot of different things like meta ads. I'm heavily into email and SMS marketing. I handle all of that. Any of the day to day, something comes up, need to fix something on the website, it's me. Yeah. So I'm like a lot of like spread all over the place. My youngest brother, Luke, he's mainly in the content. So he does, everything you see on social, emails, he's taking those photos, doing the UGC content. Like he's a one-man content machine, basically. He lives in South Florida and just, pumps out content, which is great. And then also handles customer support and oversees, that side of things. And then also just tinkering with website updates and different things he does. And then my other brother, Austin, he does mainly product design, product development, shipping imports from China overseas, wherever we're getting our products from. He handles that. A lot of like the ship bob, we use them. He handles all that communication. So we wear multiple hats, like of us three, it's been like a blessing to have that type of help, especially early on, because you can't hire some of this stuff out like early on. It's too expensive.
Super cool. And a team that you can sort of implicitly trust because they're family.
Right.
What's been the most challenging thing about building this brand?
The most challenging thing, you're against all odds starting a business, and like early on, it's fun. It's, whatever you want to call it. And then shit gets fucking real, basically, where you're like, all right, like I don't know the exact stat, but if I remember correctly, it's like 90 something% of businesses just fail like within their first 10 years. Like, don't quote me on that, but it's pretty accurate where you either run out of money, you just file for bankruptcy, you just can't get any products, something happens. So yeah, I would say there was a point a couple years back that we had a lot of our money. Well, I would say mainly all of it tied up in inventory and none for like working capital. And that was when, you're transitioning from stickers to coolers. So that's totally a different business. Like stickers come in within a week, thousands of them. Coolers take 4 months and way more cash and way more shit could go wrong. And that learning curve happened slowly over time, but ended up hitting a brick wall to where we knew we needed to find a partner who has built a business before, or find an investment from somewhere to help with that. So 100%. That had to have been the hardest time, was when you pretty much run out of cash.
And then what did you do? What was that process for finding that partner, and what did you end up doing?
Yeah, so we were in a sense of panic mode. So I threw everything I had, brothers threw everything we had in, kept the business going, knew that a party cooler company was missing and had the faith to keep it going.
Yep.
And yeah, we met with a few investors over the course. When I say few, I contacted probably so many, but I only ended up having 3 meetings with 3 different ones within a year's time. And I ended up passing up 2 of the offers. And then randomly, the founder of Death Wish Coffee, Mike Brown, he stumbled upon our brand at a NASCAR event and had seen it and reached out. Long story short, we ended up partnering with him and his buddy who helped him heavily within Death Wish grow it. And now they work hand in hand with us every single day, building Shitty. And I'm beyond grateful to be working with them. It's like I said, a blessing to have that kind of page turn and kind of restart the next chapter of like where this company's going.
And again, it's the power of events. It's like, not only are they this major sales channel, they're also this source of like kismet or like, destiny kind of thing when you create all those connections in person.
Yeah, it's like so lost now. Like it's like, and it's easy to get caught up in sitting behind your computer thinking everything's going to like work out and just keep going. Like, and I see why, like you have to work, you have to do the computer, but you also have to just put yourself out there. too, because you don't take the chances or go anywhere. It's nothing's gonna happen.
What did your event schedule look like at this point? Are you like, how many events are you gonna try to hit in 2025 approximately?
2025, we have at least 10. That's the whole festival tour. So we have 10 of those events. We have a full event team based out of Nashville that help us kind of manage it. And then we can go, make sure everything's going well. I keep track of inventory on the back end and just make sure it's flowing smooth. So we have about 10 this year, but we may sneak in a few more.
And then what's your criteria for finding the best events? I guess it's always changing whenever you have a big success, but what do you look for?
Yeah, so I know NASCAR is a big one. So if you're having drinks, having a good time, and you're allowed to bring in a cooler, right? Like those are like the recipe, and NASCAR is just that. Like, I mean, have you been to a NASCAR event?
I haven't, no.
Haven't. So if you go to one, what's amazing is because you can pack a cooler full of ice, full of beer, full of whatever you want, and just walk right in. You scan your ticket, you walk in. So
That's great.
You could potentially have 100,000 people with a cooler walking in, because they don't want to buy anything in there, which the concessions are fine with, right? And then like same thing with the Rock the Country tour that we're doing now. It's, they allow them in since we're, official sponsor. They're able to come in. Again, they're drinking. They need a cooler. It's hot. And usually when there's music, like those couple things, and then you go into the event, it's like people will like flock to where we're at and be like, oh, what is this? Because again, you see the blunt name and you're already kind of getting shitty. You're already in this like open state of mind of like, what is this shit?
Yeah, you're already spending money to be there, right? Your wallet's already open to an extent. We talk all the time on this podcast about the power of story and narrative. And you guys have such a great story, being brother founders, starting as a sticker company, moving to this. Have you done much with story-based creative, or telling your founder's story either through social, through your ads, or on landing pages?
To be honest, I wish we have. And I blame myself. I blame it's like it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day stuff. But I agree. I think as of recent, we have been giving a ton of thought to the story, right? And how it's told and how it comes off, because I'm a big believer of what you just said. Like the three brothers founders, we actually founded it starting in our grandma's basement, which I think is just a great thing to kind of implement in the story of where we started. But no, we haven't made any founder based story ads, but it's recently made it to the top of the list. After having discussions with my brother recently. Yeah.
I think that's a huge opportunity. I just think about Brock again. He over and over just goes and over on his social. He's on the beach telling the story of his, universal can koozie and how he made it and why he made it. And I think that's just driven so much of their social presence that, you guys have a huge opportunity with that. That's
100% agree. I might make a video after this.
Let's do it. Let's cut that video.
Just to knock it out and just try it.
Nice, man. I see on your website you also do wholesale. Is that a big part of the biz?
We're not in too many stores. It hasn't been a big focus, but it has been as of recent. We're starting to really start to push into different stores. I think we're under 20 stores right now, but we have contacts for so many different stores to get into, but it's just the manpower behind it. We obviously put a lot of focus in the online part, but as you heard me talking about events, it's you got to get in front of where your customers are at, where they're shopping, and wholesale is could be a huge thing for us that we'll continue to push for.
Is it heavily a seasonal business? I know we're headed into spring here. I'm just looking outside. It's just starting to warm up where I am. I guess there's places where it's summer year round, but is seasonality, is summer really your Super Bowl?
Yeah, I would say May, June, July. May, June, July, it starts to ramp up and then it kind of slows back down. And obviously you're always trying to combat the seasonality, and we've had thoughts on what could we do? And one of the thing that I seen the company SandCloud did it. It was on Shark Tank, but they started to pretty much market their products when it's winter here, it's summer in Australia.
Yeah.
So they started to market their beach towels over in Australia, and that kind of caught my eye. So maybe this winter we'll start to try to market to Australia to help with the seasonality. But yeah, it's definitely the first couple of years when I didn't understand business and the seasonality started to happen. I'm like, okay, I get that no one's using coolers, but it's warm in Florida. Why aren't they using coolers? But it's like, it's also Florida has their summer months too, and their winter months where you wake up and it's 40 degrees. So it's not always like the season for coolers. But it's our job to kind of make sure it is in ways.
Yeah. I randomly play cricket here in Victoria with a bunch of Australians, and you should probably call it the shitty esky, because that's what they call coolers down there, the esky. And if you don't close the lid on the esky, you're in big trouble with the Aussies.
Oh, what is an esky? That's interesting. Now I'm gonna.
It's Eskimo. I think it's short for Eskimo, and it's what might be one of those situations where it was a brand, like Eskimo brand, and then people just call it an esky. But that's my insight into the Australian mindset is, and shitty esky sounds pretty cool, actually. If people want to follow your journey, are you I obviously follow Shiti Coolers on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram and such. Are you active on LinkedIn or anything like that if people want to follow your journey?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach out on the website, customer support. That'll go right to a customer support team, and then it'll get in contact with me. But yeah, I mean, shittycoolers.com. We're all over Amazon, and then hopefully in a store near you soon, or a event of some kind.
Nice.
As long as they're keeping track of our social media, we could be near you.
I'm a big paddleboarder, so I'm gonna have to pick one up for paddleboard season because it's pretty much perfect for that use case, I think.
100%. Yeah, it's got an airtight zipper too, so if it falls in the water, no water is gonna get in there, and you could just put it right back up, and you're good.
Awesome, man. Well, great to meet you, and good luck with everything. I look forward to following your journey. Maybe we'll catch back up with you later.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer, all one word, .co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.